Miami, 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 Miami. It feels like Miami.
Welcome to the Miami Heat Postgame Show. I'm your host, Giancarlo Navas, and with me today, reality check master Tiffany Meeks. Yeah, nothing. Just head. That's what the Heat deserve. I agree.
Yo, because I still keep hearing the music.
No, we fade out and we talk.
Well, we was faded in.
We're faded in. We're fading out. Also here today, Heat Twitter president Alf. What's good, man? You look mad. You look upset.
I stayed up late for this bullshit.
At that 8:15 start because they wanted us to vote tomorrow. If you ain't early voting, I don't know what you're doing. I mean,
that's why you got all these black people on the show. We got to remind people to vote.
We're not going back. We're not going back.
Trump wins. Trump wins. Ain't gonna be no more black people on this show.
Nope.
And the other half of the show gonna get deported. So listen.
Speaking of black people, Saucy
Whoa.
Coach Lu.
Light, bright, damn near white.
Yeah. Hey, man. The agenda is strong.
What's the agenda?
Lynn Larson, baby. We haven't liked the fucking theme. How are we upset here today? How are we upset? We lost. Good for the tank. Larson cooked. Good for my agenda. Why is everybody down today? We knew what this team was. It was the same old song. Like
perhaps the impending doom of tomorrow. But I'm glad that Pell Larson played well. Also joining us today, we got Kyle Scarlett. What's up, man? Second time on the program.
Sure. Glad to be here.
Listen, let's get it out of the way. The third quarter has been not just a theme of this season, but I really feel, Alf, this goes back
10 years.
This goes back to fucking the first year of the Big Three. I mean, this has been. Is this a Spo thing?
I mean, listen, I'm not gonna go back in time, but the third quarter's been the third quarter forever. But like, I would just talk about this season, and I mean, like, we know what it is. Like, the starting unit is bad. They're really bad. Like, it's what's the problem with the third quarter is that the people starting the third quarter are the same motherfuckers that started the game. The same motherfuckers that you will never group together again any other part of the game because they don't play well together. Like, Spo never goes back to that lineup, except he did it in the fourth quarter once one of the other games, and they immediately blew a lead. Like, the group, I can't, I'm just repeating myself over and over. The group does not work. It just doesn't. Like, Terry and Tyler, Spo was like, why do you think it wouldn't work, motherfucker? Because we have eyes. We have eyes. We have TVs. Like, we know two shot chucking two guards that neither of them are a point guard. It's just not going to work out. It just relegates Jovic and Jimmy to standing in the corner. Bam never even sees the fucking ball, like, to the end of the second quarter. Like, it's just a bad grouping. And here's the worst part about it, right? It's like you could try it 1 game, 2 game, 3 game, 4 games, right? We're in the 6th game. And not only are we in the 6th game,
He muted himself, which is just incredible. It's just incredible.
Yeah.
How old are you? What the fuck?
Spo cut his mic off.
He muted himself. I can unmute him.
Spo cut his mic off. I don't know if it was him.
Muted. You're back.
He silenced me again.
Jeremy Taché will not silence you.
They do not want to hear the fucking truth. No, and what I was trying to say is we all watching it happen, and so is Spo. He watching it just like the rest of us. 6 straight minutes of ass juice basketball. 6 straight fucking minutes in the third quarter. Straight ass juice. I'm talking about you got to throw them undies away afterwards. just ass juice basketball, and he just watched it. Didn't do nothing. He tinkering with the second unit. Motherfucker, stop tinkering with the second unit. Tinker with the first unit. They're sorry. It doesn't fucking work. And he just watched it like the rest of us. Did fucking nothing. Didn't even call a fucking timeout. Come on. Like, and that's not the only reason we lost the game, right? All those fucking missed free throws. Just stupid, dumb plays, dumb fouls. Just Terry Rozier getting beat on a fucking back cut yet a fucking again. I mean, for God's sake, at some point, bro, turn around. Just turn around every once in a fucking while. Okay? Like, there's a lot of reasons we lost the game, but Spo, watching them blow a 13-point lead in the first half of the third quarter and doing absolutely nothing about it is the thing that pissed me off the most.
Alf, to your point, 67 minutes the starters have played, minus 18 net rating with a 122 defensive rating, and the offensive rating isn't much better. Tiff, we've talked a lot, and I like to keep these shows micro, but I think today was pretty indicative of the macro wrong with this team. They're too small, yet they also can't defend, yet they also can't score, yet they try to play big with the starting lineup. And all these things that they're doing, none of them work, and they're trying to do too many things at once, it feels like. And it just kind of feels like they don't have a pulse on what they can actually do.
Well, no. It's like where do you go? It's like if you don't want to switch up the starters, then what do you do? So, and that's the biggest thing. Like, this is the team. So we just got to get over that part. This is the fucking team until it's not. So your best bet is to switch up the starters. But the problem is that you can't be big and unathletic. You can't be small and can't rebound. Like, these are all the problems that they have, and they're not mixing and matching. And like, sometimes I think it should be matchup dependent. When you play a big team, you need to be big. When you play a small team, you need to be small. The problem is
Tiff,
go ahead.
Their big guys don't play big, and their small guys ain't athletic. Like, this team goes small and still slow. That's the shit that boggles my mind. Like, they small and slow and unathletic, and they big but can't rebound. Like, it just like I'm gonna let you go. I think there's a good team in there somewhere, but they just ain't figured it out yet.
Well, there's a decent team in there somewhere. The reality is that even with like the last possession, when you got seconds on the clock, you can't have a 3-guard lineup and you're on defense. It doesn't work.
Especially when two of those guards aren't plus defenders.
Like even if you just say that's where we lost the game, right? Let's just say that's where we lost. It's not where we lost it, but we're going to pretend that's where we lost it. We just didn't adjust to who was on the court. Because in that moment, it was very interesting. Bam boxed out, but then left the box out to try to get the rebound. So you already take him out the play because now he's trying to get the rebound. Where was the next person?
Oh, you mean
like that,
Terry Rozier?
But that's just a common sense play. I get it. You're small and you're unathletic, but you can still slide in front of somebody and just get your body there. Like, those are just like little common sense plays where doesn't matter how hard you play. That's what ultimately will lose you the game if you just don't do the little key things.
That's what Kyle used to do.
No, well, but y'all didn't want Kyle, remember? Not you in general, but
you was too many people.
He was mean to Ira Winderman, and everyone needed him gone, I guess. Whatever.
I do have a question for you guys, though.
Yes.
Because I think I asked G this. What is the problem? How is it that you can get, and let's not really count tonight, but Tyler and Terry, at least in most of these games, have been quote unquote getting off in the first half on offense. What the hell is happening in the second half to those two?
Well, I think
besides adjustments,
I think Tyler's been good this season, and I think Terry's
he has.
I think Terry's the one that kind of gets into kind of late game. He'll kind of get his shots and his numbers kind of late game. And I kind of think that's a result of they play a little more drive and kick late game. And I think that he's just a better shooter off the catch than he is off the bounce. And I think that early in the game, he over dribbles and like kind of overly tries to establish himself. And I think that when you have a lineup of Jimmy, Bam, Tyler, and him, there's not a lot of room for anybody to kind of get going. They all want the ball and they all want to make a move or two. And I just think that as the flow of the game progresses, I think guys kind of settle and I think in the fourth quarter, Terry's had pretty decent offensive fourth quarters for that reason. That'd be my theory. I see Kyle, you were nodding your head or shaking your head.
One, this goes back to the Detroit game where I stated, I don't think these Negroes know where they're going on offense. I don't think they have a clue where they're supposed to be on offense. There was a play where Harry ran into what's his face? I can't
Jay
even
Rich. Right, Jay Rich.
They just ran it. I'm like, what are these two people doing? What are you doing? Why are you on the same side of the court? Then the action moved and they both ran to the ball. I'm like, guys, only one of you can have the ball at a time. Can you please find space on the opposite side of the floor so there's not four guys on the strongs? Please. I don't think they understand the offense Post trying to run still. Like he said something during training camp and they said,
Alpha,
now we're back to last season.
I kind of feel like
understand.
That's kind of been them though. Like they always Lou, I see you. I mean, they always kind of like they look a little lost, and especially when like some of these units where it's just like Jimmy and dudes like that third quarter, that like sometime in the second quarter too, like the offense hold, like there's a lot of moments where like I just feel like I don't know if it's they don't have a playmaking or it's what Kyle's saying, they don't know where to be on the floor, but I feel like this is reoccurring.
Yeah, like just the whole situation with the backcourt is horrible. It's atrocious. It's nasty, and it needs to stop. It needs to stop. I genuinely think this is the last game we will see the same starters, and the reason I say that is I've never seen. I hope I'm fucking right, guys. I know y'all hope I'm right. God damn. But this is the first time I've ever seen Spo with this starting unit in a minute, man. It's been a minute. He was so mad the way they started that third quarter. He sprinted onto the court, called that timeout. And he wasted a second timeout because he had to. Because they're just bad.
But it's Spo is like those Congress people that are like, man, you gotta vote for me to fix this. And I was like, motherfucker, you've been here the whole time. What are you mad at?
He was so mad. He was so mad he left them in for 6 minutes and then fixed it by bringing in Jay Rich.
Alf, I'm supposed to start saying I don't have the votes. That's
you know, right before we got on air, they said, "What do you think went wrong?" Alf, I got 21 reasons. Josh Richardson's minutes. Why is he on the? Alec Burks has been good for us. He has been serviceable on both. You know, my problem is with. We don't have a point guard, but we try to make Josh Richardson a point guard. We try to make Terry Rozier a point guard. We don't have a point guard. You know when this team plays good? When Jimmy plays point guard. When Jimmy's on ball. When we have connectors moving the fucking ball side to side, not staying in fucking the same place.
At this season, Tyler is a better point guard than either Jay Rich or Terry Rozier.
100%.
Drew Smith has been better than Jay Rich. I don't know why the fuck Jay Rich is out there for 21 minutes. Like, I've been screaming this shit since last year. Like, Spoke literally tried to fucking kill me tonight with a Jay Rich, Thomas Bryant fucking lineup. Okay, I've been having nightmares about that fucking unit for damn near 2 years now. Okay,
I call it the tuberculosis lineup.
No, man, that lineup is worse than tuberculosis, man. I don't know what's worse than that. I'm not a doctor. But I don't know. And Spo's clearly not a fucking scientist at this point. Like, what is he doing, man? Like, get these guys off of the floor. Like, get Terry off of the floor. Please to God. This team looks so much more like comparable. But like, we're trusting a rookie to do Terry's job. We were trusting Bill Larson to guard point of attack, and he held his own.
somebody had to guard Fox.
No,
Somebody had to.
Fox
because
was not
Terry
man.
he was just dancing around Terry the entire second half. But you know the thing that drives me nuts is
two-step
like
Terry.
you don't have a backup point guard. You don't have anyone to organize this team in the second unit,
Zero.
right? So why wouldn't you start, let's say, a Haywood Highsmith or somebody else in starting lineup, move Terry to that second unit, let Terry cook with the rest of these guys, put Pele in the starting lineup. And you know what? If Terry's in the second unit, you know who you won't see? I pray to God you won't see Jay Rich as much.
All right, but I got a question. What did Jaime look like with Terry in that second unit?
You know what, Tiff? That's a great question. And to that answer, I have trade Terry. We don't need him on this team. Like, period.
Oh,
So
I don't know.
Tiff, I have an answer to that. Jaquez and Rozier in 64 minutes this season, they have a plus 23 net rating with a 121 offensive rating. That
Good
works.
second unit.
So then
Decent
put it
second
together
unit.
then.
That works.
So then leave him there. But
Then put it together.
last year, Jaime and Mr. Rozier were like minus 13 in
And by the
like
way,
5 times the possessions.
Terry
so, like,
without Jaquez minus 12.
Oh,
yeah, maybe that's what he needs. He just needs a little bit of spice in his
Maybe
life.
that's the pairing that you need. Maybe that's the pairing.
Kyle, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Al. Go ahead.
I want to say before anyone else goes, Lou, no more trade talk, okay? Because you're proposing smart trades and the Heat don't do those, right? They give up an expiring fucking Kyle Lowry contract and a first round pick for Terry Rozier, who not only is not worth a first round pick, not worth an expiring contract, limited what they were able to do this offseason because of that move. All right. Let's all remember that. Oh, he's net rate. He's worth it. No, it wasn't. It limited what they can do. They gave him an expiring contract and a first round pick, assets that they need going forward. But anyway, go ahead.
Right.
No more trade talk. They're not going to do it.
I agree. Kyle, what'd you have? And you were gonna.
Well, to me, this probably might not go over well, but you have a guy on the bench who can jump out the gym to some degree. He's also 7 feet. Just throw him in there to make sure there's a contest at the rim. You know, not to play 50 minutes, not to play 40, not to play 13 even. A few seconds where you need a rebound and you need two bigs that aren't Thomas Mind.
You need Tyler Hero and Terry Rozier out there for defense.
And then on the flip side, you have 0.7 left. Put two guys who can get the ball at the rim at the very least.
Not in the game.
They had 3 guards.
They have, and we were in the bonus. I'm not going to get started because
it was 3 guards.
We were in the bonus,
and a rookie inbounding the ball.
That shit was crazy. I was like, Bo has balls of steel. What the?
That tells you what you need to know about this rookie. Like, this is not news to anybody.
Lou, he's not starting. He's never started this year.
I don't need him to start. Tiff, we need him to play. Did we watch this game today? He was arguably their 3rd best player for stretches of this game.
Lou, he's gonna play, but he ain't gonna get the minutes you think he gonna get because Jaime's coming back is gonna take almost all those minutes.
And he needs to take all of Josh Richardson's 21 minutes. And then he needs to take some of Terry's 30 minutes. And he needs to be playing 25 plus, Tiff. Like, this should be a no contest.
Guys, Josh played more minutes than Haywood and Duncan combined.
Which is egregious.
But Duncan wasn't hitting tonight, though. So I guess. Oh, wait, my bad.
Yeah, no, he was. He was.
Well, I mean, he wasn't moving the ball well. Oh, I'm sorry. He had 4 assists, pinpoint perfect passes to Jimmy and Bam. Like the ball was moving when he was in. Everything was going good. But now you need more Josh Richardson minutes. And to Kyle's point, no, you don't need 50 minutes of Kelly Ware. You know, I can tell you exactly how many minutes Kelly Ware should have got. 12, because that's what Thomas Bryant got. And there's no fucking way on God's green earth that Kelly Ware, I don't care if it was Kelly 2 years ago and he was 16. All right. There's no way he's worse than Thomas Bryant. No. There's nothing Thomas Bryant brings to the table that Kelly Ware couldn't do better. Okay. Except be a fucking spaz.
Yo, chat's calling Josh a Nepo hire.
Fucking
That's crazy.
earbuds are falling out.
Calling him a Nepo hire, dog.
Nepo hire.
Can Winslow be the next Nepo hire?
You know, but you know the thing that is interesting is that we saw bench lineups where you had Jaime, you had Larson, you had Highsmith with Jimmy and whomever. It was a castaway, and they've gone on huge runs. The problem is that you have like four people that you got 2.5 people that play hardcore defense, right? Like, what, we laughing because it's true.
It's true.
And then you got
I'm trying to figure who the 2.5 people are.
Haywood, Jimmy, and
Oh,
Bam.
Haywood. Okay.
Haywood, Bam, and Larson. And
no
Jimmy.
Larson not in this conversation because he's a rookie. Stop doing that. I'm talking about old timers. Stop doing that before we
Tip,
mute
but we
you.
seen him today. We seen him
Lou,
today. He
stop.
was on Keegan. He was on
Gee,
Keegan.
you
He
him.
shut down Keegan in the first half, and then towards the end of the game, he was on Fox, and he
Mute
got
him.
stops
I'm
on
talking about
him.
Mute him, not yourself. I'm talking about old heads. Stop. This is what I'm saying. So with the old heads, this is what you got. You have to start mixing it in. It might not look pretty. Y'all might score 95 points, but you probably get more wins. And that's what matters.
But to me, it's not even all. It's just guys like Josh Richardson can't play 21 minutes. You got
No.
you can't let that starting lineup go 6 minutes in the third just shitting on themselves. Like you can Thomas Bryant doesn't really like. There's no reason for him to play. Like there's just a lot of things like Haywood Highsmith going out there for 2 minutes at a time, and then getting pulled. Like these are the things that like and I'm sorry, like it does. I feel like it's not rocket science. I feel like we all watch it and we see it happening, right? Like it boggles my mind, like why we can't figure it out. Is it stubbornness? Like
Because
Jay
our
Rich,
idea, Alf, your idea of a rotation, who's your top 8 guys? How many guys did Spo play tonight? 10?
11.
Oh, he went deep. He went 11 guys.
See, and guess what happens when you play 11 guys? There's no chemistry, there's no nothing. And that is why they look like this. Too many people played. So Alf, who's your top 8?
Alec Burks only had 13 minutes. Duncan Robinson 14. Haywood Highsmith 8. I mean, my top 8 would normally include Jesus Christ. There's just so much mid. There's so much mid.
I mean, Jimmy, Bam, Tyler,
The mid off.
for sure.
Yes.
Them, and then at that
I don't
point,
even like right now. Right now with the way Jovic is playing, I don't even know if he's in my top 8.
I gotta be honest with you.
Can I add
think
that?
he's been.
But can I add? I feel like he's not playing the way he was drafted. I don't like if you watch footage from what he got drafted from. He's playing in complete opposite of what he's naturally used to playing like. So he's playing this pop, set a screen, and then he's popping out to the 3. He had now granted, he doesn't need to have the ball in his hands because half the time he's moving the ball to the next guy on some type of cut or he's looking for the next pass. But he's not being played to his best strength, which is facilitating. So
Kyle, why is that though? Because they're playing him with 4 guys who need the ball.
right.
Yep.
But it's his positioning, like maybe not the 4, but like where they have him in spots, there should be more movement from him because he's not looking to dribble the ball out for 13 seconds.
It's because they're playing 5 out, and like he and Bam are screening, so like they'll screen in horns a lot, right? And obviously, like Bam's just not gonna pop there, so he's been
really reluctant to take the 3 in general.
Yeah.
Like I think it's ingrained. He's not used to still having.
I gotta be honest too, Kyle. I just think like there's just not a good pick and roll team, and I think like Tyler and like especially when you have like those 2 guys, like obviously it just makes the most sense to run them out of horns. So like they're just not good at that set right now.
They don't look for their bigs on the roll either.
Because
there were a couple times where Bam is rolling hard, and it takes like 5 seconds. Oh, Bam was open. No, bro, he cut.
You know,
like,
you know who does look.
the ball.
You know who does look for their bigs on the roll?
Don't do it.
Duncan
Dunk.
Robinson.
Duncan Robinson,
Thought he was gonna
who's
say
a much
something.
better passer than we give him credit for.
Honestly, I was telling my girlfriend today, I go, you see that pass? He's been working on that shit for years. I'm proud of him. I'm happy for him. He's good. I think he has to play more. I think
How? Where? When?
I think you got to take.
That-
I think you got to take some of Terry's minutes, and I think Josh shouldn't play.
But Tiff, can I ask if isn't now the time to figure out who's not playable? Like I know you said that they played a lot of guys, but wouldn't it be now to say, I'm not going, you're not playing till
My
we
sweet
have an
Kyle.
injury?
My sweet Kyle. We need to just start watching this.
Right.
We not new to this. If you don't know who should be getting minutes and who should be sparsely playing, that's a whole problem. The only people that we should say, oh, let's see what they got, are the rookies and the undrafted guys. That is
Where and
it.
Pele, that's it.
Everybody else, I already know what you listen to in the morning. So we passed that. Like this is the craziest part is that like we still seem like we trying to figure guys out. Like my guy Jimmy looked like complete ass until he get the ball in his hands. All of a sudden in the fourth quarter,
why doesn't he have the ball in his hands the first 3 quarters?
because everybody else is out there dribble, step back, shoot.
It just feels like
because Terry got the ball for 14 seconds in the beginning of every possession. Motherfucker can barely get across half court. I'm like, oh, what are we doing? Like starting point guard can't beat a 3/4 court press like to save his life.
Alf, you know what's funny? You know who his backup was? The guy who took 17 seconds to get the play started, which is Josh Richardson. Like we don't help Jimmy out. And I agree, like they need to condense the rotation. I don't mind them playing a lot of minutes or like a lot of guys sparsely. I didn't agree with the way he would, like, if you're going to give them 8 minutes, give them consecutive minutes. Don't just 2 minutes and pull, 2 minutes and pull. I'm not a fan of that, but just in general, yeah, they played a lot of guys today. I don't think they lost because they played a lot of guys. I think they lost because they played the starters too many goddamn minutes together. Like, I don't think it was the fault of the 6 guys on the bench. Like, except for Jay Rich.
The issue, the big issue is that we all have said different things about like what's wrong with them, whether it be their offense, whether it be their defense, whether it be their rebounding, and they have like if the defense is bad, you just swap Jovic for Haywood to kind of bolster that starting lineup, and I imagine that fixes some of the problem. Their offense, at least their score, they got 110 points today. Like their offense is not as anemic as it was last season, but that comes at a price, right? And now we have to start wondering is they're not rebounding well. Haywood's not going to help that too much. He's going to be a smaller guy in the starting lineup. So it's like, it's really a choose your poison of how you want them to lose. Because last year they were losing because they couldn't fucking score. And I think losing Caleb also hurts, which by the way, Caleb's been horrible. So I think they kind of dodged a bullet there.
Losing Caleb doesn't hurt shit.
Thank you.
It hurts because he was just a guy who could defend, who was playing in your lineup, who was pretty decent last year. I mean, like last year's Caleb would play right now because they need the wing defenders. But that's just kind of their issue right now is that Hero's having probably his best season. And they're scoring the ball pretty decently. They just can't fucking defend anymore, and they can't rebound anymore. Right. And rebounding was never like this really awful weakness of theirs. They had certain matchups that they got mauled, like Minnesota was like one, or like they had certain games that like you say, okay, like they cannot rebound with the best of them, but it wasn't like okay, that's why they're losing these regular season games consistently. Kyle, you even said in the pre-show, like their free throw shooting has been pretty abysmal this season. So you're losing the possession game because you can't rebound. And when you do get to the free throw line, which I feel like their free throw rate's pretty low this season, you're not converting on it. Bam has become Shaq. So you have all these different things that are happening. And what you're left with is another incomplete product. Last year, the team as a whole felt incomplete because you're like, okay, well, they can defend, they could do this, but they can't fucking score. Now they can kind of score, but they're not that good at scoring, but they at least it's kind of better, but then they can't do anything else. And we're kind of stuck in this loop of pretty much shit. And they're all capped out. They don't have anything to trade. And it's just, they're fucking stuck. And you can reshuffle the things as much. They've shuffled the deck and they've changed their style many times. At the end of the day, they do not have complete two-way players up and down the court. So now you're just plugging different guys in different roles here and there. And what you get is essentially the same result through a different process. And that's what we're watching. And I don't know, they're about to play a really tough stretch of games where they play Phoenix, where they play Denver, where they play Philly, where they play good teams. And you know what? The next time they get to play Detroit or Charlotte or one of these awful teams, they'll probably win those games because they just have talent and some of these guys are good and they're healthy. But at the end of the day, this is who they are. This is who they are.
And yes, that is true. But like, you can mitigate some of the shit.
I agree.
And I feel like they exacerbate their problems. Like, like you just, I mean, and like, I hate to keep going back to Spo, but at some point, like, you had a night tonight where I thought Bam played well. Like, he besides the free throws, I thought Jimmy came up big, but like,
Bam has to be
like,
better too, bro.
But like, I get it. But
dog?
you played well enough to win. But like, to Kyle's point, like, Jovic is playing where he's not. Like, you're not using him to his max potential. You're giving Jay Rich 3 times the minutes of Haywood Highsmith. Duncan's playing well. You take him out. You leave Jay Rich in. Like, there was a play. Duncan was playing well. Was doing well. Bam came in. They played together for 30 seconds. DHO. Duncan hits a 3. Immediately, Duncan goes out the game. Like, immediately. Like we haven't watched them for 6 years and know that Duncan and Bam play well together. And I think they played a total of like 5 minutes together this entire season. It's like shit like that, like shit that works and shit that doesn't work. But you're being so stubborn trying to force shit to fit. Like, you're trying to justify this fucking Terry trade. Like, I seen Heat Twitter go crazy because Terry threw a lob to Bam. Oh, that trade was worth it because Terry can throw lobs. Are you fucking kidding me? That is your fucking standard for a trade? And I feel like the Heat front office and the team are trying to justify the Terry trade to us and trying to justify never giving up on Jovic no matter how good a trade came along and trying to justify all these years of stagnation and not doing any moves. Oh, we like our team. We're not going to trade any of our guys. And then the guys they don't want to trade just keep walking away for nothing. Like, it's just like, I feel like they're trying to justify the shit instead of looking at what they have and trying to make it work as best as humanly possible.
Agreed. By the way,
they're
Duncan
mid.
and Bam have played 13 minutes this season, to your point.
Whoa. I mean, the duo that actually drove your offense to the NBA Finals just doesn't fucking play anymore.
You know what's crazy? And I was thinking about this today, Lou, how the best offense that they ever had was playing handoff at Bam in the elbow kind of stuff.
Never do it anymore.
Yep.
They had a year that it was bad, and then they just completely went away from that. And I just don't understand why they've just never revisited that. Because I don't know. I think that the issue against that was teams are just switching those handoffs, and it just became like a problem for them. I just think they have a lot more solutions to that now. And I'm just like, Chat's saying we're not going back. I don't know. I mean, Lou or Kyle, you could take this, but like, it just seems like that was one of the things that seemed to work. And it's just like, I never see it.
Yeah. I just think like, I don't get it. I don't get it either. It doesn't make any of their jobs easier, realistically. I get that, when it used to get repetitive sometimes because that used to be the only wrinkle in the offense was just that.
Yeah.
But
Right.
like now we have, in theory, we should have added some more things and variations, that it should continue to work. And, to Alf's point, like this year, Duncan and Bam are plus 30 net rating in 13 minutes. Like, and that didn't even count today's game. Like, it works. Like, we know it works. It continues to work. And credit to Duncan today because he was playing good without Bam on the floor. He's been playing good with a crutch on the floor. And this is no like shade to, I mean, it's kind of shade to Thomas Bryant. I don't even think he's been horrible. He's just been whatever. Like, and I get the frustration. Like he doesn't move you in any direction. He does what he does. But like realistically, it's just this team needs to figure the things out. I know it's early in the season. I know that they just got Terry and he hasn't even had a full like 40 games on. Like, I don't care. Realistically, I don't care. I don't need to see 15 more games to know what Terry is to this team or just to know what this team is. The only, your only hope of switching this up or like reaching a new level with the same roster is completely dependent on the youth on this team. It's not dependent on these veterans. Like, we know who they are, to Tiff's point. Like, the only guy who should be getting new looks with the team and chances is probably Alec Burks, because we've never seen him with this team. And, through a 4-game sample size, he hasn't been bad. But he hasn't been bad. He's hit 8 threes and
He's been better than Josh.
Exactly.
Well,
So we know he's been better than Josh. So he should be playing over Josh. Like,
He's been better than Duncan for most of the season. To be
that's
honest with you.
and that's my point. Like, and he's gotten synergy with some of the guys. He rolls to the corner well. Like, he knows where to be. He's just a vet, and his defense hasn't been atrocious. Like,
Guys, I got the quote from Spo.
Mm.
We've looked at everything. At some point, you have to take a stand and say enough is enough in these third quarters. We're going to have to figure it out. 3 straight games we had to call first time out. It takes the wind out of your sails. It's literally we're all trying to find the guy who did this meme.
Dude,
Like, Spo, take a stand.
I
bitch.
bet he looked so angry saying that too.
Here's the
I
thing.
bet he looked
Pounding the table.
Anthony Chang fucking dead in the
I wanna-
eye.
I want to
Jeremy
blame him.
Taché nodding in the back like arms crossed. Yeah, tell him, coach.
What's the quote? Players win games, coaches lose them. That works in some regard, but I feel like Spo will say something after a timeout, and they'll do the exact opposite out of the timeout. Like, hey guys, press up a little bit more. Don't let him don't let DeRozan walk into a mid-range shot. Make sure if you fight over the screen, or don't fight under. Make him feel you. Now we're gonna take about 5 steps back. We're gonna let DeRozan kind of do whatever he wants to do. Oh no, let's let Fox blow by Terry and send him into the stands because he's too small. It's just like they do the opposite of what they should be doing after a timeout. That's one.
Who
But-
fouled DeRozan shooting the 3? Was it Josh or was
Tyler.
it
Tyler.
Tyler, but I think he went for a regular contest, but it's DeRozan. I mean, I wasn't surprised. The second part is, to me, at least if your defense is accountable and decent, the scoring will figure itself. That's what I always feel. The scoring will figure itself out because these guys are pros. That's what you put the ball in the basket. It's part of the game. But if you go a whole third quarter and let a team reverse something, that means your defense isn't holding up. And somebody got to come off. I don't know who has to come off, but if you're finding holes and you notice that there are more points happening with specific guys on the floor, then there has to be shifts. Like, I feel like that third quarter was, there was some offensive stalling, but really the defense was piss poor. I think for the last few years, we've been blaming the turd quarters on the offense. But to me, it's been the defense. If you're up 13, you should be extending the lead to 20. 7 more points.
When you're getting outscored 30-13, it's both.
Bro,
You know what I mean? Like
37-17. What the fuck?
But that's what I'm saying. It's always
40-point quarter, bro.
It's always that. It's always not like, oh man, we had a 7-point lead and they tied it and it was 37-30 in the third. No, it's always we had a 10-point lead and they it's now a 12-point lead and it was a 37-15 quarter. Like, it is both. It is just like that I said it on the last show I was on. The starters are Bam, who is not having a great defensive year. I thought he had a very good defensive game. You have Jimmy, who plays defense sometimes. I've never seen Jimmy get caught on so many backdoor cuts in my life. Like, he's not the same guy. He's not disrupting things. Like, this whole 15 steals a game they were doing in the preseason and thinking that was the new offense is a joke, right? And then you have 3 other guys. I think Jovic is serviceable defensively, but he's not a big difference maker on defense. And then you have 2 guys in your backcourt that can't guard me or Tiff. Like, me and Tiff would kill him in the pick and roll. Okay, so we're like, that's what we're dealing with. So you have a terrible defensive unit, and then their spacing is off. They hold the ball too long. They don't play at a fast pace. They play extremely slow for 5 guys who can actually score and actually can handle the ball. Like it ain't working. And then to fix it, you bring in Josh Richardson.
They still don't know how to run a fast break either.
I just think the problem is that it just feels like we think the starting 5 these are our best 5 players, right? But at some point when but I'm just saying, because that's what
you're right.
Like,
you're right.
Right. But if you look at a lot of teams who win, their starting 5 might not be their best 5.
It's the best fit.
Exactly. And that's the problem that we're having.
You need somebody out there who's going to defend. You need somebody out there where Bam knows it.
Who don't need the ball.
Who plays a role. Like, this team has no role players, just a bunch of fucking mid. All a bunch of guys who think they can score, right? They have nobody who just goes out there. I mean, they do have guys who know how to play a role, but they don't start. They're all on the bench together. So you got a bunch of role players coming in off the bench. You have no role players in the starting lineup, and then you're treating guys who are dynamic like role players and relegating them to role player roles, and they're sitting in the corner instead of actually being a part of the offense. Like it just doesn't make a lot of sense the way they're playing, the way they're putting these guys together. And not to mention, you have Bam, and how many times have we seen this season where Bam is hesitant to leave his man to help because he knows no one's going to rotate? He knows there's no He knows there's no Jay Crowder, there's no PJ Tucker, there's no Caleb Martin, there's no Kyle Lowry who'll stick his fat ass in there. Like, there's nobody who's going to have Bam's back. So you've watched him. I've seen this. I've never seen Bam so gun shy about helping. Why? Because he knows he's leaving himself completely exposed on the other end.
Not that this is a stat that like ultimately tells that story. I feel like, have they taken a charge this season?
2-1.
Kyle,
two
that's
now,
not he. To Alf's point, that's not he basketball. Like,
No.
you know that guy on the back line, he'll get there and he'll do what it takes to get that stop.
It's too pretty.
Because there's an edge missing. And we talk and we laughed and we kikied all the time about who you just mentioned. Caleb, Kyle, Jay, Max,
Andre Iguodala,
Kevin
Gabe,
PJ,
like everybody,
Kevin Love.
Kevin, these are all the players that everybody kikied. They're shitty. We don't want them. This, that, and the third. But guess what? Those were the guys who, if there was a loose ball, they were getting it. They were taking the charges. They were making the hard. Have we even given a hard foul to anybody? Like,
No.
There's just an element of just dog that's just missing.
Yeah.
culture.
Like, play
Like,
ugly.
it's just something. It's just like you're just watching. Like I'm not like high. I'm not low. Like, I'm not feeling anything. And
Who's
that
their
means they're not.
enforcer?
They don't have one. They don't have one.
They rely on Jimmy to be that too.
Duncan's the enforcer. Him and Pele.
Duncan. Like, what?
Jimmy Neutron.
Right. Like, what are we doing? But I
God
like, and just to kind of go to Lou for a second, I like what Larson is doing because he's opportunistic with his shots. He's not looking to shoot everything.
Mm-hmm.
He's hustling. He's crashing the boards. No matter if he gets the rebound or not, he's putting his face in there, as y'all can see.
Yep.
So he's doing the little things. But like, he's a rookie. So how many, like, he's not going to be getting all these minutes. So the fact that he's doing that in limited minutes, that's a problem for like a lot of the other players.
And you know, like, not to just like positive like Pell agenda, because honestly, like, if you have two eyes and you watch this Heat game, you can tell his impact he had on the floor. And you can tell, like, if you've seen the first 6 games, it's been the same story with the starters. It's been the same story with the point of attack. Like, you know, to Kyle's point, that third quarter, we scored 17 points. De'Aaron Fox scored 16 by himself.
He was killing us.
You know who was on him?
Terry.
I'm just saying, guys. Like, and the whole reason, like, there's something that has to be said for low usage impact players in basketball and filling out a team with those kind of guys. Not everybody's meant to have the ball. You can't, like, that's the problem we have with the starting lineup. Like, we need guys. That's what Max was, Tiff. Max never had the ball, but when he had it, he made the right choice most of the time. If he missed a shot, you lived with it, but it was what it was. And he would play defense, and he was tough, and he would try, and he was physical. That's what Larson's going to give you.
But Lou, what else did Max used to do when he didn't have the ball?
Defend.
Move.
He would move on offense.
That's what I'm saying.
Right now, you got
Intangible.
Tyler's the only one in the starting lineup that moves without the ball. The only one. Terry don't move. Jovic doesn't move. That's not his game. Bam ain't moving. Jimmy ain't moving. There's only one, and that's why
have no
Tyler's
cutters.
only one.
Yeah.
Tyler's no cutting, nothing. But Max used to cut. Duncan cuts. Haywood cuts.
Larson cuts. I'm just saying.
Larson's gonna cut. Like, but you just
plug and play,
like,
guys.
I mean, Jaime was not there tonight, but he cuts to the basket.
Absolutely.
I feel like D Wade need to come and teach these guys how to cut to the basket.
Or Jimmy. Jimmy's good at it too.
But Jimmy
the
just
thing is,
Jimmy
know what
can't
it
cut
is,
as much
G?
because nobody respects his three ball like that. So they're sitting on it too. Like Bam,
They don't respect
same
Dwayne's
thing.
three either. And
in that starting lineup, who's gonna get him the ball when he's cutting?
And see, that was what I was about to say to G, because this is, I think, my biggest problem is that I don't know if they know where to go half the time on the floor.
Yeah,
So without a
natural
natural point guard to even just stop and just be like, get over there. They just look. It's funny because they could come out like gangbusters, and all of a sudden, when that shit don't work anymore, they don't know where to go. They don't know what to do. And if you had an actual floor general, they'd slow it down, get the ball inside, because they don't work inside outside.
Tiff,
I don't understand what the flow
Who's the leader
is.
in that? Who's the leader in that starting unit?
It's Bam.
It's supposed to be Jimmy, right?
It's nobody.
How can it be Bam if Bam doesn't even get the ball?
It's nobody, Alf. That's the problem. There's not a leader. There's not one guy that they're running offense through. You know, when Terry's looked decent like during this season, it's been in the fourth quarters. You know why? Because he doesn't have the ball. He plays off ball the entire fourth quarter. Tyler has the ball.
That's what G was saying.
Jimmy has the ball. Yeah,
Terry
like
turns into a catch and shoot guy
and that's when the starters all of a sudden can kind of fucking work a little bit and not even like,
Guys,
you get what I'm saying.
So one of the things that I think we've talked about for years, and we'll close on this note, is they have not been able to get any pressure on the rim. And that was the problem with Kyle. Kyle was a floor general, but Kyle could not generate pressure on the rim, which you see how that hurts your offense because you're not forcing anybody to rotate. So you're not creating those kinds of open looks from a real drive, kick, and swing offense. That's what you want. And they weren't doing that because Kyle couldn't generate rim pressure. Jimmy had lost a bit of a step, and nobody else on the team can beat their man off the dribble. That's not Tyler's game or whatever. So trading for Rozer, theoretically, you bring in a guy that has a first step that can get to the basket. He has 3.7 rim attempts per 75, which is below average for his position. Another guy that you brought in that's not generating the rim pressure. And when he does, he's a poor finisher. He's 53% this year, which is bad at the rim. Like, that's horrible at the rim. So you're not creating...
Why do we theoretically think he could put pressure on the rim?
Because he did it in Charlotte.
Yeah.
I mean, he did do it in Charlotte. Like granted,
last year,
I think that's because maybe his backcourt partner is 6'7" and can shoot from. I mean, LaMelo is a wild card on offense, but he does it consistently enough where it's like, we can't leave him open.
And you know why also, Kyle? Because they play way faster and they were running a lot. So, like, you get a basket in transition, that counts as a rim attempt. So, like, what really probably the mistake that we all made was not looking at half-court stuff. Because if you look at it, he's in the 44th, like, just the work, just, the community.
The community. It's about the community today, Tiff.
And I
Tiff, I thought there was a motherfucker behind me. I'm like,
David remember.
Somebody creeping.
No, G.
I love you, David. That was a joke. That was shout out to Brass. David's like,
Motherfucker
no, we're not
said,
getting in trouble.
the mistake we made.
We, Uncle Phil, we.
Fuck is we?
I'll take a blame on that. I was wrong on that.
So
Too wrong.
listen,
Shit.
that's kind of their reality right now, and they just don't have. Listen, the most important thing in basketball is getting stuff at the rim, because when you create that, you create free throws and you generate rotation to open up your 3-point shooting. The Warriors were good because Steph Curry was a threat to drive to the basket, and that opened up the rest of the game. The big three was good because LeBron James and Dwayne Wade forced pressure on the rim, and shooters were open. And that's what good off. James Harden forced pressure at the rim, and people were scared of him, and that's why the Rockets got 1 million open threes a game. The Heat are trying to do that without having a real threat going to the basket. So that's kind of where we are. And
a lot of, and the other thing is, so many teams like jump on guys like Derek White, like just real NBA players that are out there, and you can just take advantage of, and without having to give up a bunch of draft capital or anything crazy like that. Just real NBA players, right? We don't do that. We get Josh Richardson and Thomas Bryant.
Hey,
like,
Alf, you want to know what's funny? You want to know what they traded to get Derek White?
What?
Josh Richardson in a first-round pick, and expiring in a first-round pick.
And I know because he ended up on the Spurs for a season.
I'm just saying.
That's actually the perfect punctuation for today.
Please,
actually,
just end it.
I want to give us a light note. We just saw the game that the Heat had. How the fuck you show up dressed like that, Tyler? What's going on?
Because he had more
going
than
to bar mitzvah afterwards.
What is he?
Why he look like what's his name from the Matrix?
Dude, why
not
Agent
Keanu? Agent
Smith.
Yes.
I mean, like, what the? You cannot show. I'm sorry. You gotta ditch the mask after you lose like that, right?
He looks like a high school senior graduating. Like, that's what he's wearing under his cap and gown.
Yo, Alf, he looked like he got white socks on.
Men in Black.